business moves fast. And when you need funding, there's no time to wait. At Fleximize, we keep things simple. No penalties, no red cards, just fast, flexible business loans. We only ask for the essentials and you'll get a decision within 24 hours. Once approved, the funds are in your account the same day. Fleximize, let's fund your goals.
Hello and welcome back to Matchday Live, streaming on X, YouTube, Facebook and Town TV. Proudly brought to you by our headline digital partner, Fleximize, the UK's award-winning lender offering fast, flexible business loans. Portman Road is buzzing again tonight as Town face Le Havre in their first pre-season game at home. With the Premier League season just around the corner, it's one of two home fixtures this week. There's a training trip to Germany to come, and we're right in the middle of a new era under Gary O'Neill, with some exciting new faces in the squad. Coming up on the show, we've got Town team news for you first, all the key talking points from pre-season so far, and a full look at all the new signings. Plus, we want to hear from you, the fans. Let us know in the chat where you're watching the show from. Well, good evening and welcome back to Portman Road. How good is it to have football back here in Suffolk? Alongside me have two fantastic guests in former Blues, Tommy Smith and Alan Lee. Guys, welcome back to Portman Road. How does it feel that football is just around the corner again, Tommy?
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, you feel the buzz already when you enter the stadium, and it'd be great for the home fans that maybe haven't travelled to these away pre-season fixtures to get to see the team under Gary O'Neill for the first time.
Plenty of new signings through the door. Alan, as we came on air, another one was announced online. Florentino Luiz signed from Burnley. That's another sentiment for these fans tonight to get behind this team.
Yeah, wonderful news, fantastic player. So exciting to be here, preparing for the Premier League again. Loads of work going on outside the stadium. The pitch looks magnificent. Yeah, cannot wait for the season to start.
It's Gary O'Neill's first game in charge here at Portman Road. I know it's a pre-season friendly, but what a special occasion it's going to be for him.
Yeah, of course. You know, it's big shoes to fill for him to replace Kieran McKenna, but he'll be buzzing for tonight, experiencing the home dugout for the first time. And I'm really interested to see how he sets up the team and how it differs from McKenna's style of play.
We'll talk about it a little bit later on, but Alan, me and you were chatting off air. You played with Gary on loan at Cardiff City. He was from Portsmouth.
Yeah, a long time ago. I believe Portsmouth in the Premier League at that point. We were in the Championship. I think he played about 9 games, made an immediate impression because he was a young player, did fantastically well in the Championship, and you could tell he had so much self-confidence, and he went on to have a fantastic career, of course.
Yeah, and let's see how the Gary O'Neill reign starts here this evening. Pre-season is all about getting minutes in the leg, Tommy, and I guess bedding in those new signings.
Yeah, absolutely, and the signings that have come in are so exciting. You know, a lot of forward players to get the crowd on their feet. And they'll be really excited to portray themselves at Portman Road for the first time as well, and I can't wait to watch them pull that shirt on for the first time.
Well, let's take a look at Gary O'Neill's first selection here at Portman Road for Ipswich Town as we take on the French team Le Havre. Alex Palmer in goal. Whether he'll be staying at the club, we don't know. We have brought in 2 goalkeepers, but it's good to see that he's going to get some minutes this evening. Cedric Kipre at the back with Dara O'Shea, who skippers the side as well. Leif Davies in his familiar left-back position. We're not too sure where Casey McAteer might be playing, but Tommy, we think it could be at right-back.
Yeah, possibly. You look at the other names on the team sheet, and that sort of fits the bill for filling in at right back. You know, and it'll be interesting to see. He'll probably approach it with a real attacking mindset, so it'll be good to see how he gets on there.
A big opportunity as well for Cameron Humphreys, who had those loan spells away at Wickham and Huddersfield most recently. Bagged 2 goals at the weekend. So it's a good opportunity for him again to showcase that, Gaffer, I want to be in your plans.
Fantastic to see him. That boy's a hell of a footballer. We all know that. It's great. We know what it means to the fans and the supporters to have someone from the academy involved. And I suppose that these days in football, it maybe takes you a little bit longer to break into a first team, particularly at a big club like this. So I'd love to see him do well and claim a place in that starting lineup.
We see a lot of youth team players in these pre-season fixtures. A lot of them are on the bench tonight. Judah Mendel, Academy Player of the Year last season. Not only is he a brilliant footballer, but he's very knowledgeable. Went to Eton College. I met one of his friends earlier on in pre-season. But again, this is what it's about, isn't it? Pre-season games for young players to showcase what they can do.
Absolutely, and it's a massive opportunity for him today to impress Gary O'Neill and cement his name in the first team plans moving forward throughout what is now becoming the serious part of pre-season.
And it's an attacking lineup where we're going to see Daza Maeda and new signing Emerson, the first Brazilian, Alan, to put on an Ipswich Town shirt. How exciting is it for a young protege like that to get his first minutes here at Portman Road?
Well, it shows you how far we've come, really. We're signing Brazilians now. How wonderful. Really like Daizen. I think that's a really, really good signing. I'm not going to make a guess of how we're going to play or what style. You know, that's what I'm really looking forward to watching tonight and taking it all in.
I guess that's part and parcel of the pre-season. Like, we're used to knowing the former Kieran McKenna setup. We're not really sure how Gary O'Neill's going to say. He's played a few games already, but I guess at this point of the season, they're still working out what suits best for each player, I presume.
Yeah, and it's still about getting minutes into the legs of the players, and Gary O'Neill will be casting his eye over everyone, young players included, and I feel like he's the type of manager that if you're good enough, you're old enough. So like we've touched on with Cam and Mendel, it's a fantastic opportunity for them to cement their place.
We would normally run through the substitutes, but there are so many on the team sheet. We'll get straight into letting you guys know at home that you can watch tonight's match on Town TV with a £4.99 match pass. So do make sure you head over to itfc.co.uk/match pass and you can watch the full live coverage plus half-time analysis from Tommy and Alan. Well, the summer was dominated by the World Cup, and for us England fans, there are still more years of hurt. But for one of our guests, no doubt it was an experience of a lifetime. Tommy, first of all, congratulations for going to the World Cup. Just sum it up for us. For those that couldn't be there, what was it like?
Oh, it was brilliant. You know, our first game in America, and they put on a fantastic show, and then the final two in Canada, and you're playing in front of 70,000 in the first game, 50,000 in the second game, and although I didn't get any minutes, just to be there, experience it and embrace it all. And I've actually said to people, it changed my mindset, knowing that I wasn't going to get many minutes. I could actually embrace the whole experience a lot more than sort of focusing on my performance. So brilliant experience, fantastic way to sort of finish my professional career.
We've seen players in the England squad like Jordan Henderson and a few other players that were there again for what they brought into the change room. You just said it there, you weren't expecting to get many minutes. So what was your role within the team?
Yeah, you touched on that really. So a bit like what Jordan Henderson's role was, it's to sort of make sure the guys that aren't playing are in the right space, to drive the standards in training where when the game's been played and you're sort of not played and you haven't had minutes, to keep the spirits up, keep everyone's morale high and be the go-between between the staff and the players if there was any issues to arise.
And you are a record breaker alongside Chris Wood, the first two New Zealanders to appear at 2 World Cups. That's something, look, we see the picture of you waving goodbye to your international career, but that is something that you must be so proud of.
Yeah, absolutely, and to do it with my good mate Chris Wood as well was great, and he's obviously been a fantastic partner to go through the international career with. But again, just to finish my international career, my professional career at the World Cup and have my family there in the stands that was probably at the end of the first game, brilliant moment there. To have them there and for me to have those memories that will stay with me forever.
Alan, Tommy's not the only international footballer on Matchday Live this evening. When you were on pitch side last season or the season before, I can't quite remember, you were given a cap for your contributions to Ireland. Just firstly, have you still got the cap and where does it sit in the household?
I've still, well, after about 15 years, they finally remembered me and gave me a cap. It's at home. You know, I like to have my little boy so into football. I work in a school, so I like to, you know, bring it around, show the kids. Didn't hit quite the heights that Tommy did as an international, but it's a huge, huge honour, and they're just really nice little mementos.
How does international football compare to your everyday club football?
For me, I struggle with it. It's first of all, it's a bigger commitment than you might think. So I think if you're one of the best players in the team, it's a fantastic experience. For me, I was kind of on the periphery, and you'd kind of go away end of the season, you'd have an extra 2 weeks, and you're locked in a hotel room, kind of security guards at the end, and you're not getting out much. So I didn't really feel I gave my best, or I never felt really part of it. But to be quite honest, we had some wonderful players.
We've got sorry, they were just playing some of the lads warming up in La Manga. Looks very jealous. But yeah, we've got some other representatives that were out at the World Cup as well, George Hurst and Ali Al-Hamadi. How good is it that we've got those representations at a World Cup? Alan said the club's come a long way since signing a Brazilian. To have players at the World Cup now is just fantastic.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and for them as well, they'll have gained so much from that experience, and it gives them the drive to kick on and go on and be a part of the next World Cup as well. Obviously, the players that we've signed that will probably go on to play in World Cups, so the club is really progressing well, and I'm sure they'll give a real good fist of it this season in the Premier League.
Now, I know your New Zealand shirts are probably your pride possession from that World Cup. Did you manage to get anyone else's? Do you swap shirts? I looked at the teams that you placed. Egypt, Belgium, I'm thinking Salah, De Bruyne, was he there? I can't remember, but did you get anyone's shirt?
No, because I've always been of the mantra where if I don't play, I don't deserve a shirt, really. So I let the lads that played fight over the best shirts, and no, I've got a few from back in the day when I played the actual games, but none from this most recent World Cup, no.
You've retired from international football. I know that you were representing Braintree Town when you were at the World Cup. Have you hung up the boots? What's the situation?
Not officially, no, and there'll probably be more news to come in the coming days. So we'll probably save that one for breaking news another day.
Watch this space, Curly.
Watch this space. It's a very takeover tonight. We've got Cole Scoose up there who's on commentary, and obviously Alan Lean. So watch this space. Fabrizio Romano, we might have some news for you very soon. Obviously, Ipswich Town have got a lot of international superstars at the minute. As Tommy said, they'll probably be playing in European competitions on the international stage for years to come. But leading this Ipswich Town team in the Premier League, we have a new gaffer, Gary O'Neill. Obviously, over the summer, we had the news that Kieran McKenna was departing the football club. There was obviously a lot of rumours. When the name Gary O'Neill got mentioned, Tommy, what was your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a real pragmatic appointment. The experience that he's got of the Premier League, of the English game, was a real key one for me. I think it would have been easy to go out and try and find maybe a sexier name from overseas that wasn't experienced, but I feel like it's a real astute appointment, and I'm really looking forward to how he does.
I spoke to, I did a talk actually with Mark Ashton to a lot of the supporters and the partners at the football club, and Mark made it very clear that they were looking for someone that understands the ethos of the football club. And I think Gary O'Neill is that person. Do you agree, Alan?
Absolutely. Listen, he's got, I think we were possibly looking for someone in the mould of Kieran, a bit younger, fresher ideas. I think what's really important is Gary has some experience in the Premier League, and hopefully brings that to the fore. Remembering back to 2 seasons ago, I felt maybe the physicality caught us out. It was quite shocking to me to see how physical it was and how athletic everyone was. He'll know all that, and hopefully he can have a positive effect for us.
Yeah, we're seeing Gary O'Neill on his first day there. Tommy, when you see clips like that and you see the smile on the faces and the connection, that's going to be really important behind the scenes as well. But what impression have you got from all the work that he's done so far at the football club, including the community work?
Well, I think I've been speaking to people that work at the club, and the first thing they say about him is how good he is as a human being. And I think that's the first thing you do is respect the people that you're working with, which then you gain the respect in return. And I feel like he's done that in spades. You see from these pictures here, I know it's easy to do it in front of the cameras, but I know that he does this every single day. He shakes everybody's hand, and it reminds me a little bit of how Mick McCarthy sort of held himself, and every morning making sure no matter who you were at the football club, you made to feel part of it.
Yeah, I had the
and that's a
pleasure.
massive thing.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of doing a walk and talk with the new gaffer around the park, and yeah, I really understood what his plans were for the football club, not short term, just long term, how he wants the team to play, and you could just see the hunger and the desire. You know, he kept Wolves in the Premier League, Bournemouth in the Premier League, got to a European final. How impressed are you with the body of work that he's already done, Alan?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, to touch on that point, we've experimented with some angry, non-communicative managers in the past. It doesn't work at Ipswich. I suppose we like to think ourselves a little bit bitter. It's a little bit different. It's very much a community club here. We represent the whole of Suffolk, and I think having a figurehead that is friendly and approachable is really important. And he has the experience of working in the Premier League.
You guys would have been at clubs where a new manager comes in. How do you approach it as a senior player? Do you have to go and knock on the gaffer's door? Do you have to make a bit of an effort, try and get in his plans? How does it all work?
It depends really on where your standing is at the club. You know, if you've perhaps been not in Kieran McKenna's plans, you see it as a fresh start and a chance to sort of get yourself into the team. If you're already here and felt sort of comfortable, you know, it's a little bit of a kick up the backside to go again. So it can have loads of different effects depending on your stature at the club.
And it can all depend on the circumstances as well. Do you know what I mean? If you're a bunch of players underachieving, having a bad time, the manager's sacked, you normally have this 2 or 3 days where someone else is in charge and someone comes in. Very much that first conversation will either be one to lift you or one that maybe, listen, guys, you've got to pull your socks up. So it depends on the circumstances.
We've seen there's been a trip to La Manga. The lads and the staff are going to Germany very soon for a pre-season friendly. We're 2.5 weeks out now from the start, where we'll host Sunderland here in the Premier League. For tonight's game, are you expecting to see an identity, a style of play that you can clearly see what Gary O'Neill's ethos is?
Yeah, I think after a few games of pre-season already, I think tonight will be a night where he wants to see more of those ideas coming into force now. It's not going to be easy. You know, Le Havre are a very good team. You know, I think they finished the season quite strongly. Only lost one of their last 7 games, managing to avoid relegation from Ligue 1. So they're no mugs. So they'll prove a tough test tonight.
Yeah, Gary O'Neill has been putting the work in at training on the pitch, but off it as well. As we mentioned earlier, new signings coming through the door. There's been quite a few. One tonight, Florentino Luis joins us from Burnley. Very excited to see him walk out at Portman Road. Obviously not playing, but he'll be here and he'll be able to get that applause. There's been so many signings. I guess we'll start with the one that we mentioned earlier. Emerson, first Brazilian to put on an Ipswich Town shirt. Record signing. He's been scoring goals for fun as we see him arriving here. Do you know what I love? He's got a suit on for the occasion. It just goes to show what it means. What kind of striker do you think he could be? Obviously very young still, so coming straight into the Premier League for your first season is going to be a big task.
Yeah, you know, we've got to bear that in mind. But, you know, a golden rule, listen, I'm going to say this, but I think you're only as good as your strikers. And having more and more striking options is obviously a good thing. We've got to find out what makes him tick, what sort of goals he scored. I can't wait to see him play.
Another player through the door there, Abdul Fattah, who comes from Leicester. Not only is he a brilliant footballer, but he's big on the TikToks. If you go to his account, you can see him dancing, massive in Ghana, huge personality. And I guess they're the kind of players that excite us, the wingers, the ones that do the tricks and flicks, but also can do the work going backwards as well. Oh,
really exciting signing for the club. You know, you see the performances he put in a struggling Leicester team last season. He was a real standout for them. So to have signed him, I'm really looking forward to seeing him in action tonight in an Ipswich Town shirt.
The players are coming in quick and fast here. Dyson Maeda, Scottish football fans will know all about him. But Alan, you mentioned you like the way he plays. You like what he can put on a pitch. Yeah, industrious. You know, the hard work, the effort, and the Celtic fans were very sorry to see him go, which I think says a lot. He's someone I'm of high hopes for. Yeah, it's one of those ones where you're looking forward to seeing how a player that's been so prolific in the SPFL can get on in the Premier League.
And he presses. So if Gary O'Neill's teams are going to be high pressing, he'll be a fantastic addition to the squad for that reason alone. You're a defender.
Issa Diop from Fulham. What I loved about the pictures of him training, he was in that sweltering heat in tracksuit bottoms. That is a proper centre half. He didn't, no nonsense, but a man mountain of a figure and with Premier League experience as well.
And again, we've touched on it, to have Premier League experience throughout this side is going to be vital. We've got it in the manager, we've got it in Issa Diop coming in. Dara's obviously played in the Prem, and the lads that played there previously. So for him coming in, I think it's massive for the group. You know, he performed really well at the World Cup, and he's going to be a massive personality as well, and a leader in the dressing room, I'm sure.
Alan, as a striker, are they the kind of centre-halves that you like to come up against? Give yourself a bit of a battle.
Yeah, you know, I suppose my strength was my strength, you know, certainly as I got older. So I knew if I had a smaller, like an inexperienced centre half, I could bully and maybe, you know, take his lane and manipulate it. But it's harder when you've got someone that's strong. And as I say, going back when I was in the tunnel in the Premier League 2 years ago, everyone seemed to see 6'4", 6'5", you know, like really big athletes.
Well, speaking of big athletes, Sherpen, goalkeepers come in, which I guess when a new manager comes in, Tommy, like you say, he'll have his own ideas. We're not sure what this means for Christian Walton, Alex Palmer, as we said earlier on, but when you bring in 2 goalkeepers, you can probably get an idea of where Gary's going with this one. And obviously, there's something in this keeper that he's seen. He's played top-level football in the Netherlands, Austria and Belgium, and Champions League experience. So, you know, as a goalkeeper, is a big man as well.
Well, he's bigger than that room that we're there.
He's got to duck down to do that one.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, and goalkeeper is obviously a very important position. You know, we've seen that in the last Premier League season. They can win and lose you points, and that's no slight on anyone that played in those games, but to have a real solid goalkeeper behind you, as a team that's probably going to become under the cosh at times, to have confidence in that goalie to pull off saves and keep you in games is really important.
Yeah, and we've got Van Oevelen as well, who also joins the football club as a goalkeeper, and said when he heard that Ipswich Town were interested in signing him, there was only one place he wanted to go, and that's good to hear for a young goalkeeper up and coming.
Yeah, it's a compliment, and again, it probably shows where we are on the European stage. You know, our second return to the Premier League. It's probably been easier for us to sign some of these players now this time round.
Yes, Alan makes a really good point there. It's a lot easier to sell Premier League football to players, and I guess that's the hunger and the desire. I think Emerson said it as well. The dream is to play in the Premier League.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, being a Premier League club, you can attract that better calibre of player, and it's not about going out and picking the biggest name. You know, you've got to pick the right fit for what you want as a football club, and I think we've gone about things the right way. We've not just gone and signed willy-nilly. There's been a plan behind every signing, and I'm really looking forward to watching it all take shape and how they all hit the ground running in the Premier League.
Well, we can now have a look at some of the first images of our new signing. Florentine Louise there, looking good in the Ipswich Town away kit there. I mean, he's got Premier League experience. He played plenty of games for Burnley last season, and I guess he'll want to put what went wrong last season right this season. So that experience will be so valuable for us.
Yeah, but all that said, it's so important for a centre forward to get an early goal. It can make all the difference, get people believing in you. So tonight, you can't read too much into pre-season games, but there'll be a bit of nerves there for some of the boys, and I know he's not going to be starting tonight, but you know, if he can get a goal in pre-season, you know, might help him on his way.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, there have been plenty of Ipswich Town signings this season, so do let us know in the chat who you are most excited to see from our new recruits at Portman Road this season, and we'll read some of them out a little bit later on. Pre-season, lads. Tommy, you mentioned that you might not be hanging up your boots. You've done quite well, actually, because you've sort of dodged pre-season for the time being, but just what can we expect from tonight's game from the lads that are starting the game this evening?
I think that the closer it inches towards that Premier League season, you know, Al touched on it a little bit, there'll be a slight element of nervousness, but a real sense of energy I'm expecting tonight from those players, because this is the moment now against the good opposition where it really matters, and how you play in these games is going to dictate how often Gary O'Neill puts you in the team.
Yeah, playing in front of your home crowd, whether it's a pre-season friendly or a playoff semi-final, there's always that extra little bit of expectation and pressure. This place will be busy tonight.
Yeah, as you get closer as a player, as you get closer to the season starting, you're kind of looking into who the manager is playing, and are you in his plans? As we said, there'll be a couple of young players there. Now, this is a massive moment for a couple of players. They might just get on the pitch, do something special, let the manager know that they can be trusted. And I'm sure Gary O'Neill will have some nerves himself. he'll want it to go well. He'll want to create a good first impression. It's important.
And when you've got so many new signings through the door, they need time to bed in, become friends, or not friends. You never know in football these days. But how long does that normally take to really understand the rhythm of the players that are coming into the squad?
It's really down to the individual and how quickly they can pick up on the style of play and the tactics that the manager wants to implement. I would imagine that they've signed players that have high football IQ, so can bed in really quickly. They'll have done all their due diligence, and there won't be a player out there that won't be able to pick it up quickly. I'm expecting most of them to hit the ground running. You have to give them a little bit of leeway, especially like an Emerson coming from a place he's never experienced English football before. But some of the others who obviously have the experience, you'd expect them to bed in really quickly.
Talking of the experienced players we've got here at Ipswich Town, Dara O'Shea, Wes Burns, Leif Davis, George Hurst, they've been there, done it, got the T-shirt with this football club. How important is it to have those type of characters still in the dressing room so that the new lads coming in can understand what this football club is all about?
But listen, that's why Tommy went to the World Cup. Look at Chelsea signings the last couple of weeks. Who on earth would have seen that coming? I think people are realising that character, that experience is valuable, and it helps some managers, particularly young managers, like run a dressing room. Good senior pros will run a dressing room for you, behaviours, all those things, attitude. It's really important.
How much extra does that give you when you've got those characters in there, as Alan says, running the dressing room?
Yeah, it's important, and you look up to those players as well. Alan was one of those players when I was first coming through the youth team at Ipswich. As a senior player, he drove standards on the pitch, off the pitch, and I'm not just blowing smoke up his backside, but he was one of those experienced players that we're talking about, and it's vitally important to set the tone for those young players to see what it takes to have longevity in the game.
And I guess that's why pre-season tours, like when the lads went to La Manga, they're perfect to sort of get to know each other. Have you been on any really good pre-season tours? I imagine they're a little bit different these days.
They are a little bit different. Yeah, we've been to the Isle of Man once or twice. Yeah, it's an important part to bonding. I think good players can immediately make a connection with each other. Good players can play well, but I think what sometimes take a little bit more is the attitude, the desire, what standards, what sort of atmosphere does Gary O'Neill want? What does he want to drive? How do we want, or do we want to be a very aggressive team? I think it's things like that maybe need to be sorted out and might take a little bit more time.
You mentioned earlier on players putting their name out there, letting the gaffer know that I want to be in your plans. Cameron Humphreys, who scored that brace at the weekend, is a perfect example of someone that wants to show the manager what he can do, and how important is that for him as well, to show gaffer, I don't want another loan, I want to be here.
Absolutely, he's making that step up the football pyramid each season, and obviously he's hit the ground running this pre-season, so there's no reason why he can't go on and secure his place in Gary O'Neill's plans. But listen, it's not going to be easy. There's obviously midfielders that are missing through injury. They're probably going to be looking at bringing midfielders in, so as long as he can continue to perform on the pitch in these sorts of games, that puts his best foot forward, and that's all he can do.
You mentioned Gary O'Neill earlier on, that there could be a few nerves here, but with those nerves will be the excitement as well, as walking out of this tunnel at Portman Road in front of these fans, and I guess getting that early connection with the supporters.
Yes, I suppose you're not going to get carried away if we win 4 or 5-0, but if we lose, if we have a bad day, the people start asking questions, and he's got to field a load of questions over the next few days. So it is important for him to get it right. Going back to Cameron Humphreys, he is such a good footballer. He is Ipswich through and through. And he just needs to, he needs a bit of luck, a bit of fortune. Can he deal with the physicality in there?
Well, let's take a look at those goals that Cameron Humphreys scored against one of his old clubs, Wycombe Wanderers. And it was a day where Ipswich Town had 2 games. Obviously 2 different squads taking in the opponents at Oxford United. But this is what it's about, isn't it? He's Leaf building up from the middle of the park. We're taking it out wide. Lovely little through ball in there. And this is where you want your players to be, in and around the box, and a tidy finish.
Yeah, lovely finish there. Slotted it in, passed it in, as they say.
Well, when you're scoring against your old teams, you're not supposed to celebrate. I mean, in pre-season friendlies as well, it probably would have been a little bit weird if he'd run off and done a knee slide into the corner. I like this one. He's sort of gambling on what's happening and then in right place, right time, Alan. As a striker, that's where you want to be, sniffing in and around the 6-yard box.
Oh, it's fantastic to see. Watch it all the time, you know, wide players, attacking midfielders, centre forwards even pulling out of the box to get the cut back. You get across that 6-yard line into the 6-yard box as that ball's being delivered, you will pick up 4 or 5 goals a season.
And I guess in pre-season, it's all about trying to build those connections as well. We saw Emerson and Maeda work well together in previous friendlies. That's going to take a bit of time to sort of work those sort of connections out, isn't it? But it's good to see them, you know, I think Maeda hit the post in a pre-season friendly as well, but it's building.
Absolutely, and tonight's going to be another good example of getting to know each other, building those connections on the pitch. You know, they'll have plenty of time off the pitch with the trips that they've been on and the ones to come, where to build those connections off the pitch. But on the pitch, all you can do is play with each other, figure out each other's strengths and weaknesses, and like I said before, they'll be intelligent footballers that will pick up on each other's nuances quickly.
And playing against teams that we wouldn't meet, Le Havre, Carno to come, Union Berlin, how important is it to get those different stylistics here at Portman Road and obviously travelling to Germany so that when we come up against teams in the Premier League, all right, they're not going to be of the same standard, but the formations might be similar?
Yeah, it's a new... Listen, I think any new experience helps you grow. Any challenges we face today will probably help Gary. So it's probably a good idea we're playing something totally different because that's what we're going to face in the Premier League. But I always remember it always seemed completely alien when you played an international team. You know, the style of play, how the players behaved was totally different, and all the off-the-ball shenanigans were also something you had to deal with.
These games, Tommy, we've said, you know, the result's not necessarily important, it's the performance, but if we do lose, questions obviously will be asked. But what is it that, when you were playing in these games, that you tried to do to set yourself apart from all the other players?
I think just adhere to what the manager's asked of you. You know, he's going to have asked the players to play a particular style. There will be patterns of play that he's probably asking them to do, and if you go out and execute them well, that stands you in really good stead. But equally, I think as much as it is just a pre-season game, you want to start building a winning habit, because obviously, having been promoted last season, you want to continue that winning habit. It's going to be tough in the Premier League, you know. You're coming up against some real tough opposition, so if we can win these pre-season friendlies against decent opposition, the confidence that gives you heading into the Premier League season will be massive. Confidence
and momentum is probably what every striker as well would like heading into the new Premier League season.
I'd be out there. I just want my goal. I want my goal. I wouldn't. I suppose as you get older, you get better at recognising what you don't want to be fit on the first. You don't want to be 100% fit in the first day of pre-season. You want to be 100% fit 1-2 games in. I would be so greedy because my goal, that was my way. If I scored a goal, that would raise my confidence. I'd tell myself as a good player, I wouldn't give a damn about the rest of it, to be honest. I want my goal.
You want your goal? Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I'd like to score a goal one day as well.
Typical striker.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, earlier on in the show, we asked you, the fans, to get involved and let us know which new signings you are looking forward to seeing. As we see those come across the screen now, we've got definitely looking forward to seeing Maeda, quality signing, and will be very key. Sort of echoing what you were saying there, Alan, that experience is going to be vital. Again, more excitement for Maeda as well. I think people see the highlights reels on YouTube and get excited, and that's what football fans do, don't they? That's what we want to see.
But I guess since we're getting excited, and Tommy's mentioned about his work rate, and it is phenomenal. And you know, I've watched Celtic a few times last season. It was great to see him pressing down lost causes, and it's very important. Very often, it's that run. He's not going to win the ball back, but the pressure he's putting on means there's a bad pass, and the next person wins the ball back. It's so important.
We've just seen one name come up there who's watching from the Netherlands. Good evening to you. He's excited to see our 2 new goalkeepers. He might have to be waiting a while because Alex Palmer in goal this evening. I'm watching this at my home base. Oh, that's him there. That was him, the Netherlands guy. Maeda, I'm most excited about so far. There seems to be a running pattern here for the strikers. Tommy, a bit disappointing that no one's excited to see some defenders.
Oh, listen, the strikers get all the acclaim, don't they? But no, listen, the toughest thing in football is putting the ball in the back of the net. And they're the ones that get bums off seats and get the excitement going within the stadium. So I'm not surprised they're the ones that everyone's looking forward to seeing.
I think there's Diop. We've got one for Diop, brilliant. But one before that, I think as well as saying, I'm just looking forward to seeing football back at Portman Road. And I think as football fans, that's what we want, isn't it, Alan?
Yeah, listen, Ipswich Town, the Premier League, it's the biggest show in town, isn't it? The biggest show in Suffolk. Everyone wants to be here. Everything's going to be a sellout. I remember back to the first game back in the Premier League a couple of years ago. I've never heard an atmosphere like it. I cannot wait.
A South African fan watching. Unbelievable that is. I guess that shows again, Tommy, that Ipswich Town are going worldwide. It's amazing what happens when you reach the heights of the Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ipswich Town, you know, the history the club's got, there will be fans all over the world, whether that's first generation, second generation and beyond. You know, there's people that have moved on and still follow the club. And for me personally, I missed the last Premier League season. I was playing away over in Auckland. So to experience Premier League football at Portman Road will be something that I've never done yet. So I'm really looking forward to that for sure.
Maeda for me, Matt, Alan Lee, Simon Milton, Town legends. We didn't ask him to say that.
We get around a bit, myself and Simon, so there's a good chance of meeting us at some point.
We've heard from the Ipswich Town fans there, but what about you guys? Alan, I can feel like I know where your most excitement of our new signing is going to be. Is it Maeda or is there someone else?
Maeda for me. Again, I was very impressed, and it's an impressive signing. And I look at it. If you look at maybe Hull City, you don't hear as much excitement about what's happening there, and it probably gives you an example of, you know, the people are looking at that club and wondering, has it just popped up and down? Maybe we were in the same position 2 years ago, and now we seem to have a bit more stability. Clubs developed further, new training ground. Everything's looking so rosy.
Tommy, what about yourself? Are you excited to see from our new signings?
Like we've touched on, the forward players are the ones that get everyone excited. Obviously, signings like Diop, obviously he's not playing today, but signings like him will be vital. You know, they're really important signings, but the ones that get people excited are obviously the forward players for sure.
There's some love out there for Cameron Humphreys. One fan is looking forward to seeing him push for a first team spot, and that's another thing with these games. That's what we want to see. We'd love to see a youth breakout star this season as well, wouldn't we? Judah Mendel is like I say, got an opportunity tonight as well, and that's another point you mentioned about the training ground, the facilities, the academy now. The club is on the rise, and if we can produce these players, fans really love it when a youth team player comes through.
Yeah, well, they're big assets for the club, you know, and in the obviously, if you can produce your own, it's harder though, and it's really hard to break in. You know, we've had plenty of players have 1, 2, 3, 4 appearances, but for me, and I think Tommy, you'll agree, you're a footballer once you've made 100, 200 appearances, and the mentality bit of that is so important. I know the club have made great strides, and Ben Chenery in charge of the academy now. I know it'll go in the right direction, but it's always been. It's always been something we've been associated with, Tommy, isn't it? Bringing academy players through.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the history of players that have come through the youth system at Ipswich Town, and you know, players from way back, such like Kieran Dyer, Richard Wright, Darren Bent, and from that moment on, Titus Bramble, players like that we can produce, and we've got the staff there at the club that want that, are willing that to happen, and we've got the infrastructure to provide that now as well. So really excited to see what the future holds, not just for these young players, but the ones that are sort of making their way at the moment as well.
Well, there are plenty of academy prospects on the team sheet tonight. They are on the bench. We'll see if they come on later on, who knows, but this is your Ipswich Town starting 11 again. If you are just joining us, Alex Palmer is in goal this evening. It's a familiar 3 out of 4 back four with Kipre, Davis, O'Shea, who skippers the side, and like we say, Casey McAteer we suspect could be in that right back position. We predict there will be a lot of changes, Tommy, at some point. Do you expect to see a lot of rotation this evening as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you look at the squad there, probably the 3 that can play in behind Emerson might rotate within the first sort of 45 minutes, and that's really important as well, to disrupt an opposition where you don't really know who your direct opponent is from moment to moment, which can be really helpful. And yeah, I think there'll be a lot of changes. You know, it's still building minutes in the legs for players. There's a few games to come in pre-season, and I feel like Gary O'Neill at this moment in time, it's not going to be my strongest 11 is playing and starting the matches. It is going to be an assessment of how people are sort of adhering to those tactics that he's trying to implement.
Yeah, I think certainly we're not seeing the starting 11 from the first game of the season, but there could be 7 or 8 in there. And I guess part of his thoughts, he probably would like to get some of those lads to the 60-minute mark, maybe a little bit more, with 2 weeks to go, 2.5 weeks to go.
Yeah, do you think he knows who his starting 11, all well being fit, every player is reported for training? Do you think he's got a rough idea, or is it too early to tell? I've never been a manager before.
He probably has a wish list, but the biggest thing you've got to be is flexible. I mean, things are thrown at you all the time. How do these new players? We've made a new signing today. How is he going to settle in? Can he get an apartment and get back to training and really, fit in? So I'm sure he's got an idea what it is, but he'll be wise enough to know that it might not be able to start with it first game of the season.
And one thing that we learned last season was that it definitely was a squad game. You needed all 16 players on a match day to be a part of it. Those that may not be starting this evening will know they've got their chance to show. But even when it comes to the first game of the season, even if you're not in the starting 11, you know how ruthless the Premier League is, how tougher it is, that you're going to get minutes at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, all it takes is suspension, injuries, and before you know it, you could be down in the dumps bin, not in the plans, and be thrust in at a moment's notice. And that's what football is a funny game, and we've all been through it, where probably we've touched on that a manager we've had previously would literally send you with a youth team, and then the next week you could be starting. So football can change in an instant, in the blink of an eye, and I don't think people could read too much into the starting 11 tonight, and certainly the players that aren't starting tonight shouldn't read too much into it either.
Can we read into anything that Dara O'Shea has got the captain's armband still? Is it important, Alan, that we keep some of that stability and the leadership group? He's been immense since he's been an Ipswich Town player.
He has, yeah. He's had a couple of very good seasons. He's a club captain. It's so that that stability. I don't know Dara, but I certainly can see how he conducts himself, how he holds himself. Reminds me of Tommy Smith here. But a key partnership, and this is why it's harder for centre halves. It's such a key partnership, isn't it? And if the two of you, I remember you and Chambo playing together, it's hard to break that up. Whereas a centre forward, you're coming off after 70 minutes. The manager's going to put fresh legs on, but it's a little bit harder for maybe the holding midfielder and the two centre halves, because I would say most managers want to keep those the same.
Tommy, was that what it was like for you, finding the right partnership and then not breaking? I guess if you make a mistake at the back, it can tend to lead to a goal. So how important was it for you to have that correct partnership?
Yeah, the partnership's good, and the backing of the manager, where if you do make a mistake, he's not just going to throw you to the wolves and change it straight away. So, I think from a partnership perspective, I think we found it tough as a club when the team's been chopping and changing, when those centre-back partnerships change and the characteristics of the individuals that are coming in are slightly different. So you can never properly gel and really form a solid partnership. Whereas, I think if you look at any successful team over the years, the centre-back partnership rarely changes for the whole season.
Yeah, well, Dara O'Shea skippers the side this evening. And earlier on, as he arrived, he caught up with Town TV's Jacob Henderson.
Dara, thanks for talking to us on Town TV. About halfway through pre-season now, how are you finding it?
It's been really good. We've got lots of work on our legs, had some valuable minutes against some good opposition, and looking forward to the game again today. It's going to be another tough test. Nice to be back at Portman Road as well, so it's great for the new signings to get a feel for it.
You say they're nice to be back. I mean, it's not Portman Road full. We know it's going to be much bigger and better for Sunderland, but it's a nice feeling.
Yeah, all the same. Anytime you come here, it's always nice. It's familiar to us, and we've had so many great memories here, especially last season. We want to continue on the momentum that we had here, and it's another game to look forward to at home.
How important is this time of the season, in particular, integrating those newer players, like you say, into the group and developing playing patterns?
It's definitely an important time. Like I said, obviously when new players come on board, it's important we get up to speed quickly, and as having the luxury of having time in pre-season to work on things without competitive games is really valuable. So it's been massive for us, to come together as a group and try to build that togetherness as well, but also still, tactically and technically improve on what we want to do this season.
Good luck, Dara.
Dara O'Shea speaking to Town TV's Jacob Henderson there. The atmosphere is starting to build here at Portman Road as we see the tractor boys make their way back into the changing room. What will that first Gary O'Neill team talk be in the changing room this evening? They would have had some at the previous ones, but in front of the home crowd now, he'll have some choice words, I'm sure, to say for positivity for the club.
Yeah, I think it's still a case of building, you know. We've touched on it, that the result's not all important, but equally you want to put on a good showing for the home fans. And for the new players especially, they want to put a good first impression in and make sure the home fans go home singing their praises for sure.
The fans are just clapping the players as they come in, Alan. When you are back home, playing in front of your home crowd, it's the first pre-season game. What's it like from the players' perspective to see those faces again in a familiar surrounding?
Well, it's for me. It was always. I used to really enjoy. We tended to have a bit like tonight, a big pre-season friendly last with maybe a week to go or 2 weeks to go. But of course, you're playing without the pressure of 3 points. So you're on the most beautiful pitch in the country, around wonderful fans in a beautiful stadium, and it's one of the few times you don't have that enormous pressure of the 3 points and where you are in the league, etc., pressing on you.
Looking ahead to the first game here, Sunderland in the Premier League, the excitement will be through the roof. The town will be buzzing. How do you feel about Ipswich Town heading back into the Premier League this time around?
Yeah, really excited. I think it will be a bit of a litmus test to see where we're at. Obviously, Sunderland did so well last season. A fantastic team, a fantastic club, in similar ilk to Ipswich Town, you know. And it will be really a real gauge of where we're at. I think if we can get a positive result there, and the confidence and momentum that gives you heading into some really tough games towards the back end of August and early September, you know, you need to get those points on the board, especially in your home games, and against a team like Sunderland, where you feel like that's probably an opportunity to get 3 points on the board.
Those big games that Tommy is referring to, we've got Manchester United and Liverpool, game 2 and 3. They're the games that, as footballers, you want to play in. They seem daunting to us as fans, but as a player, you relish the opportunity to play in there.
It's amazing, because sometimes you go somewhere like that and people don't expect you to win. But every so often you do, you surprise people. Behind that is a wonderful performance and a kind of a band of brothers effect of you all working together. But they're the games that fans talk about. So I still hear fans talk about the X result, Y result from back in the 90s, the 80s. That's always against the big clubs. So, yeah.
There's so many chances and opportunities for players to make a name for themselves. You always remember the goals that are scored here. In the Premier League, it's worldwide. They're moments that not the fans will remember for sure, but as players as well, you'll look back in your career and you go, I did that in the Premier League.
Yeah, and for some of these players, it might be their last opportunity to play Premier League football. I think that's lost in football because it's such a sort of, it comes and goes so quickly. You don't get a chance to really revel in it. And for these players, they need to really make the most of the opportunity they've got to play in the Premier League and maximise every single minute that they get on the pitch.
It is going to be a fantastic season, no doubt, as Ipswich Town return to the Premier League on the 22nd of August here at Portman Road against Sunderland. But tonight, it's all about pre-season, getting minutes in the leg as we take on the French side, Le Havre. And all of those watching on social media, don't forget you can buy a £4.99 match pass. The commentary team this evening is Glenn Wheeler and Cole Scouse, the manager of non-league Bury, which we may see a certain someone signing for very soon. A very special treat for you. At half-time, we will be joined by Florentino Luis. Ipswich Town's new signing will be here for his first live interview, and it's happening on Matchday Live. Big thank you to all of you for watching and our sponsors, Fleximize. We will see you all at half-time. Enjoy the game.
Just like football, business moves fast. And when you need funding, there's no time to wait. At Fleximize, we keep things simple. No penalties, no red cards, just fast, flexible business loans. We only ask for the essentials and you'll get a decision within 24 hours. Once approved, the funds are in your account the same day. Fleximize, let's fund your goals.